Allow me to introduce myself. I am Anne Hathaway, and for the majority of my journey, I have dedicated myself to the art of working with my hands. Not in the manner that most might envision upon hearing that phrase. Though my hands may not construct barriers or create masterpieces, they possess the power to mend. With more than 10 years of experience, I weave the art of healing through my hands as a licensed massage therapist. Neither a casual enthusiast nor a self-taught learner from online videos. I immersed myself in study, honed my skills, and practiced tirelessly until my fingers could decipher pain as effortlessly as a musician interprets notes. I've encountered professional athletes, weary nurses, and office workers struggling with uncomfortable chairs and poor posture. I possess an understanding of the human body that transcends mere anatomy. It encompasses the burdens individuals bear, which are not bound by the laws of physics. Yet my journey, my true purpose, marked the subtle onset of my marriage's quiet decline. My former partner, Carlos, never quite grasped the essence of my endeavors. In the beginning, he made an effort, sharing with others the pride he felt in my profession, even lending a hand to add color to the walls of my studio. Yet as the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, a transformation began to unfold within him. Perhaps it stemmed from envy. Perhaps it stemmed from a sense of uncertainty. Perhaps it was merely that age-old notion that a woman's gentle influence is meant solely for her kin and not for the outside world. He kept his voice steady, never letting it rise in the heat of the moment. That was not Carlos. Yet, I could sense it in the way he expressed phrases like "long day" or "all male clients again." That arid grin, that playful quip that held a deeper truth beneath the surface. For a decade, we shared the journey of marriage. And just like that, we found ourselves no longer in that place. It concluded just as it had existed, in a serene and unassuming manner. There were no doors that slammed shut, nor were there any tumultuous escapades. Only the hush of the dinner table lingered, a quiet acknowledgement that our words had run dry. He took his leave. Our son Adam chose to remain with us. At the age of 22, Adam found himself navigating the vibrant life of a college junior, fueled by a sports scholarship that had him immersed in the world of semi-pro football. His days were a dance between the bustling campus and the comfort of my place, shifting with the rhythm of the seasons. He stands tall, a reflection of his father, yet carries a quiet demeanor reminiscent of my own. There was a certain rootedness to him, a steadfast discipline that I held in high regard, perhaps more than he ever realized. He had spent his childhood observing my craft. At times, he would stand just outside my home studio, captivated by the gentle melodies drifting from within, observing my every movement as I immersed myself in the music. His intrigue with the intricacies of anatomy, the art of healing, and the journey of recovery was boundless. Once, I would playfully say that he inherited his father's bones and my heart. Adam and I moved in harmony, like a well-tuned melody. As the night deepens, we gather around the table, sharing stories that weave through the tension of sore muscles and the thrill of game day pressure. Our bond was strong, perhaps even stronger than that of many mothers and sons, yet it was perfectly ordinary. We had journeyed through many trials and tribulations side by side. He held my work in high regard. He even requested my guidance on stretches from time to time, or how to ease tension after a training session. Yet, a change began to unfold last autumn. On that chilly night, the windows sang softly, swaying to the rhythm of the wind. Adam stepped through the door, the weight of the world resting on his shoulders, his face etched with tension. "You seem a bit tense," I remarked, observing him as he rotated his neck. With a deep, resonant groan, he expressed his discontent. Our coach led us through a series of challenging overload drills. It's as if a heavy load has settled upon my back, weighing me down with its relentless pressure. In a moment of instinct, I rose and positioned myself behind him at the kitchen table. With hands honed by experience, I navigated his traps with a delicate touch, seeking the familiar knots I was certain awaited me. With each deliberate motion, I moved in harmony with my breath, just as I had always done. He whispered to himself, "Still the best." It was merely a collection of words, nothing more. Yet the manner in which he expressed it, gentle and confident, stirred something within me that I had not anticipated. A gentle smile graced my lips, soft and subtle. It's my craft. Yet a moment of stillness lingered. A hush enveloped us as I toiled away. Neither awkward nor tense, simply a moment of stillness, as if the very room was pausing in anticipation. Neither of us took a step back, remaining steadfast in our places. That night lingered in my mind, not for the events that unfolded, but for the moments that slipped away unnoticed. A subtle shift had occurred, almost unnoticed. Imagine the temperature in a room gradually climbing, each degree a subtle whisper of warmth, until you suddenly realize the cozy embrace around you, though the exact moment it started remains a mystery. The following morning, I strolled into the kitchen and discovered him, bare-chested, tending to the stove as he prepared breakfast. "Morning," he exclaimed, a playful smile dancing on his lips as he flipped a pancake with a flourish. And I lingered for a moment, my gaze fixed on him, as if time itself had paused. His back bore the strength of unwavering dedication, a testament to his relentless pursuit of excellence. There was a woman whose gift lay in her ability to read the stories written on bodies, to decipher the weight they bore, the tension they held, and the exhaustion they endured. A gentle flutter stirred within my chest. I swept it aside, whispered a few words about not requiring his culinary skills. After that shoulder rescue, he chuckled, "It's the least I can do." And in an instant, the recollection of my hands upon him transformed, shedding its clinical nature. It enveloped me in a gentle embrace. It hung in the air, a presence that refused to fade. As the afternoon sun began to wane, he cast a curious glance into my home studio. Resting against the doorframe, a picture of ease yet deep in contemplation. "Hey Mom, do you have a moment for one more client?" I arched an eyebrow, a silent question dancing in the air. "Are you certain that my rate is within your budget?" With a twinkle in his eye, he flashed a grin. "If I agree, will I be treated like royalty?" With a hearty chuckle, I found myself amused. "It seems you have a knack for it." And in that moment, he entered the room while I set the table with care. Newly pressed sheets, golden oil, gently warmed, a soft, pale light. He settled himself down, and so my journey commenced. My hands glided over the well-known landscape, tracing the contours of his back shoulder, the curve of his spine. I could sense the weight of unspoken tales, where his body revealed truths, his words kept hidden. In that moment, amidst the chaos, his words reached out and wrapped around me, drawing me into a serene silence. Do you ever grow weary of always being the pillar of strength? I found myself at a standstill. My hands came to a halt, suspended in the air. At times I would whisper softly. At times, indeed. In the stillness, time seemed to stretch, enveloping everything in a profound hush. Then, more gentle than ever, "You need not be apart from me." And at that moment, the winds of change began to stir once more. Not up above, absent from the space, yet within me. His words were free, offering nothing in return. They extended their offer, presented with a gift I hadn't known I was yearning for: attention. Following that session, the surface remained unchanged. Adam continued to weave in and out of his training and school, balancing both worlds with a rhythm all his own. We continued to gather for late-night meals, our laughter echoing as we enjoyed the shows that brought us joy. He continued to weave tales of life and football, sharing the struggles of tightness in his hamstrings. Yet, a change was in the air, not in the manner of our actions, but in the way we observed. A few days later, I strolled into the kitchen and found him at the counter, gently drying a mug. With his sleeves rolled up, the subtle strength of his arms was on display. It was not the first occasion on which I had laid eyes upon him in such a manner. Yet, on this occasion, I took my time. He cast a glance, a warm smile spreading effortlessly across his face. "How are you doing?" I gave a knowing nod. Indeed, simply, worn out, I suppose. "Do you want me to return the favor?" he inquired. "What about the massage experience?" A chuckle escaped my lips. "After just a week of practice, you're already dreaming of seizing the reins of the business." With a casual lift of his shoulders, he dismissed the moment. "For quite some time now, you've been shouldering a heavy burden. It's high time someone looked after you, don't you think?" His voice carried a sincerity that left no room for sarcasm, only a gentle embrace of warmth, consistent and genuine. I paused before responding. As the afternoon sun cast its warm glow, I found myself folding towels in the studio, when suddenly I sensed his presence behind me. He spoke of lesson 2. I pivoted. There he stood in the doorway, a familiar pensive expression gracing his features, gentle and inviting, not anticipating, only here, in this moment. I gave a knowing nod. As he entered the room, he gently shut the door behind him. I perched on the edge of the massage table, beckoning him to draw nearer. I guided him in the gentle art of warming the oil between his hands, how to flow with breath, not force, how purpose held greater significance than mere power. As I pivoted, he gently rested his hands upon my shoulders. They were imposing and powerful, yet approached with caution. It seemed as though he feared the consequences of overstepping far more than those of holding back. In this moment, he inquired gently. I gave a knowing nod. With a gentle touch, his hands navigated the familiar terrain, tracing the tension points that echoed the struggles he had known within himself countless times before. With a deep, measured breath, I felt his thumbs delve into the tight knots that had taken residence in my upper back. And for the first time in years, I released my grip, partially yet sufficiently, just enough to sense the gentle easing of my muscles, just the right amount to release my breath at last. Though his words were few, his touch spoke volumes. It whispered, "I see you. Your presence commands my respect." In a moment that felt just right, I found myself present. His hands discovered the burden I had been shouldering, not merely in my back, but in the unseen realms where my shoulders had grown rigid from years of bearing the weight for others. I whispered, "You have a real talent for this." He took a moment to gather his thoughts. Then, in a soft whisper, I expressed my desire for you to experience the emotions that have always resided within me. Secure, endorsed, and so I did. As the massage drew to a close, I lingered in stillness, savoring the moment. His hands floated away softly, reminiscent of the final waves of a tide pulling back into the sea. As I pivoted, my gaze lifted to meet his. In his eyes, a tale lingered, waiting to be unraveled. Clarity prevails. Without a moment's pause, simply show your concern. Profound, genuine compassion. For just a fleeting moment, my son seemed to vanish from my sight. I beheld Adam, the man of intrigue, the gentle, perceptive soul I had the privilege of nurturing. And he did not see me, not just Mom. Ah, but Anne, there was a woman. He extended his arms with a gentle grace, enveloping me in a serene and reassuring embrace. Take your time. There's a smoothness to it all, only a gentle embrace of warmth. As he spoke, a reassuring promise hung in the air. I've got you. Take a moment to inhale deeply. And so it was done. In that fleeting moment, a revelation dawned upon me. This bond we shared, whatever it was evolving into, was not something I felt compelled to escape from. It was a truth I needed to unravel, for the simple reason that it was genuine. The days that followed unfolded like a tale, each moment weaving into the next. Silence envelops the space, but not the kind of quiet that arises from afar. It had taken on a richer form now, as if an unvoiced understanding had woven itself into the fabric of our connection. Adam chose to keep the massage to himself, letting the moment linger in silence. I didn't either, yet the air bore it gently, as tender as a whisper, as undeniable as the pull of the earth. On a quiet evening, as I was putting the living room in order after dinner, his voice drifted to me once more, emanating from the threshold of my studio. "Well," he remarked with a nonchalant air, "do you have a moment to spare?" I spun around, a chuckle escaping my lips. "It seems you've found quite the charm in this place, haven't you?" With a casual lift of his shoulders, he expressed indifference. There's a serene stillness enveloping this space. He entered the room with a measured pace, lingering at the threshold, not yet venturing further. As I pondered, perhaps you might continue to share your wisdom with me. Please impart your knowledge to me, more than mere amusement. I leaned my head to the side. Are you contemplating a change in your field of study? He offered a shy smile, a hint of bashfulness dancing on his lips. Not quite. However, it is often said that a gentle touch has the power to mend wounds. I find myself yearning for a deeper understanding of it all. Perhaps I simply seek to uncover the true essence of it all. I observed him for a moment, this tall, steady young man who once dozed off in my lap after soccer practice. Before me stood a figure whose hands spoke of both tenderness and intent, and eyes that gazed upon me as if I remained the very heart of his universe, even though neither of us could articulate what that truly signified any longer. "Very well," I replied softly. "Let us embark on a journey that begins with presence." He absorbed every word, truly absorbing as I shared my tale. Ways to find your breath's center, how to perceive beyond mere muscle, how to sense the weight of unspoken sadness and tension that people carry within them. I perched on the edge of the massage table, my back turned to him, creating a moment steeped in anticipation. I sensed his hands linger in the air, poised just before they met my skin. In that moment, all doubt faded away, leaving only a sense of tenderness. A harmonious dance unfolding between tension and stillness. "You're catching on quickly," I murmured gently. He paused, the silence thick with unspoken words, and I sensed the weight of his every gesture. With his thumbs working their magic on the top of my shoulders, he gradually released the weight of years of stress that had settled deep within. "Do you remember," I whispered softly, "how you would climb onto my lap at the age of 3? Your little hands gently resting on my face as you would say, 'You're tired, Mama,' as if you could sense it before I even realized it myself." He let out a gentle chuckle. "That memory escapes me. I do indeed." And then his hands came to a halt, gently pressing against my shoulder blades, anchoring me in the moment. "Perhaps it has been within me all along to nurture you," he remarked. I found myself at a loss for how to express it. Up to this moment. The words lingered in the atmosphere, imbued with a sense of reverence. Silence enveloped me. Allow the silence to unfold and linger. For the simple reason that it didn't bring any discomfort, it was a journey of restoration, a silence so profound that it requires no remedy, a stillness that simply exists in its own right, merely embraced. As he wove his tale, I felt myself sinking into a deeper sense of relaxation. His hands glided down my arms, unhurried, gently following the long curves of tension and release. His touch carried a soothing quality, transcending mere technique and practice, embodying a deep sense of humanity, intimate. His fingers lingered at the nape of my neck, applying a soft pressure. And then he paused, as if the world around him held its breath. I glanced back, catching his gaze as it met mine over my shoulder. Silence enveloped us. Yet there was an unspoken connection. Perhaps a memory we both held dear, a revelation. We found ourselves at the brink of an unknown realm, a place neither of us could define, yet the sensation lingered between us, palpable and profound. It felt just right. It was as if it truly came to life. On that particular night, slumber eluded me. As I reclined in bed, my gaze fixed upon the ceiling, I could hear the gentle hum of the dishwasher echoing in the distance. The image of Adam's eyes lingered in my thoughts, unwavering and open, a silent depth brimming with unspoken emotions. Not a yearning. There is no confusion here, only focus, unfiltered, unwavering focus. I had crossed paths with eyes that had taken notice of me, naturally. There were clients, colleagues, and even Carlos from those early days of our marriage. Yet, this was unlike anything else. This experience was akin to being recognized by someone who understood all the facets of my existence, the weary, the resilient, the shattered, the courageous, and stood resolute. The following morning dawned with a chill in the air and a blanket of gray overhead. As I meticulously wiped down the massage table, preparing for my regular client, I caught a glimpse of Adam sauntering past the studio door, shirtless once more, a towel draped over his shoulder, his hair still damp from his run. He pressed on, undeterred. He offered a knowing smile as he strolled by, the kind that suggests an unspoken understanding of the thoughts swirling in the air. In that fleeting moment, I found myself frozen, hands resting on the table, caught in a web of uncertainty. Was I the one under scrutiny now, or had I been the subject of observation all along? As the week unfolded, he inquired once more, "Is there anything you require assistance with in the studio?" There was a moment when I nearly turned it down. I nearly shared that I was all right. Yet there was a certain quality in his inquiry, nonchalant yet tinged with a subtle yearning, that compelled me to agree with a nod. I guided him through the art of arranging the linens, demonstrating the perfect way to fold towels, and ensuring the oils were always at hand, ready for use. He absorbed every word, as he always did, with unwavering focus. In a fleeting moment, he offered me a bottle of lavender, and our fingers lightly grazed each other. It ought to have been just a trivial matter, yet I lifted my gaze, and there he was, his gaze fixed upon me. His gaze held no hint of impropriety, not a whisper of unease, only a gentle embrace of warmth, and something profound. He took a moment to clear his throat. He remarked on your remarkable ability to foster tranquility. "I've honed my craft," I responded, attempting to muster a smile. He paused, caught in a moment of uncertainty. Then a hush fell over the scene. "Have you ever longed for the warmth of being nurtured?" The question lingered in the air between us, swirling like a wisp of smoke. I chose to remain silent. I simply couldn't do it, not at that moment. Yet, as the sun dipped below the horizon that evening, I found myself pausing in the hallway, just outside his door. I simply walked in without a knock. For a brief moment, I lingered, my hand gently placed on the doorframe, reflecting on the time that had passed since someone had reached out to me simply to acknowledge my presence. As I began to walk away, he swung the door open. In that moment, time stood still for us both. Then he smiled, a soft and inviting expression. As fate would have it, I was on my way to seek you out. Silence enveloped my words. I stepped into the studio right behind him. This time, there were no lessons to be learned. Let us refrain from making light of the student experience. Amidst the gentle whisper of fresh linens and the soothing melodies that floated through the air, there was a profound sense of transition, as we embraced a new, tranquil silence together. I found myself seated at the table, and this time he chose not to seek my guidance. He lingered behind me, his hands gently placed on my shoulders, patiently awaiting the moment I released my breath. And so, he commenced his tale. His touch was now steady and filled with confidence. It was filled with nothing but warmth and tenderness. My body reacted instinctively, surrendering to the cadence of his touch, melting under the weight of someone who understood the art of discovering discomfort and gently guiding it into relief. "Today, it seems, you bear a heavier load," he whispered softly. I gave a slight nod. "I always do, indeed. Many individuals simply overlook it." "I do," he declared. And so he did. The session stretched on, longer than we had anticipated, not by design, but because the magic of our conversation held us captive, and neither of us was ready to let it go. Adam's hands danced with a familiar cadence, gliding down my arms and sweeping across my upper back. With each stroke, calm and certain, his presence steadied me, like an anchor nestled in warm waters. He understood the art of timing, knowing precisely when to hold back, when to intensify, and when to embrace silence. Silence enveloped us for a time, yet the unspoken lingered in his touch, his fingers gliding over the space between my shoulder blades, where years of tension had gathered like forgotten dust. With each gentle pass, I began to release the weight of the years spent holding everything together, the unspoken loneliness that lingered in silence, and the reflection of the woman I had ceased to recognize in the mirror. I let out a long breath, not out of hurt, but from a sense of ease. With my eyes gently shut, I murmured, "You're truly remarkable at this." He paused before responding, and then gently, his voice floated just behind me. "I simply wished for you to experience the warmth of care, just as you have always enveloped me in your kindness." My chest throbbed in that gentle, subtle manner that doesn't inflict pain, yet heightens your awareness of every single thing within you. I shifted just a bit, catching sight of him standing behind me, his hands relaxed at his sides, his breath now slow and steady. "Thank you," I murmured, my voice just a whisper against the vibrant melody that filled the air. He reached for me, not abruptly, not with urgency, just slowly wrapping his arms around me in a way that felt like a gentle embrace, as if time itself had paused to witness this moment. Finished. As I leaned my head against his chest, the soothing aroma of fresh cotton mingled with the delicate essence of lavender oil, creating a serene atmosphere around us. His arms wrapped around me softly, as if he feared I might slip away. But I remained right there. I was unable to do so. It had been years since someone had held me in such a way. Not as if she were a woman, not as if she were someone of significance. We lingered in that moment, suspended in stillness, our breaths intertwining in the serene sanctuary we had created, delicate, precious, and holy. As I finally lifted my gaze, our eyes locked, and all the unspoken feelings I had tried to ignore came rushing to the surface, palpable and undeniable between us. Neither shame nor confusion, simply the essence of reality. "I see you, Mom," he said, his voice gentle and filled with warmth. Yet, the term mom seemed inadequate to capture the depth of emotion in his voice, too limited to encompass the feelings reflected in his eyes. And I let him lean down, moving so slowly as if he were granting me the chance to reconsider, before he gently brushed a kiss against my forehead, then my cheek. Then he paused, his lips lingering near, waiting, neither pushing nor asking, simply an offering. And when our lips met, soft and impossibly gentle, it wasn't desire that flowed through me. It was all the other things. Through the passage of time, a steadfast devotion unfolded, a journey of presence and support, a love that evolved, transformed, and deepened into an unexpected bond, yet one we both acknowledged with clarity. We drew back slightly, allowing our foreheads to meet in a gentle connection. His breath caressed my skin with warmth. In that moment, he leaned closer and softly uttered, "I'm here." In that moment, I found myself trusting him deeply, more than I had trusted anyone in ages. For a time, we fell into a quietude, not from fear or guilt, but from a silence that felt warm and comforting, like a gentle embrace. It was as if the very room held its breath, ensuring that nothing fragile would shatter in the stillness between us. He lingered by my side for what felt like an eternity in that stillness. In that moment, his hand gently sought out mine, as if drawn by an invisible thread. Our fingers intertwined softly, a tender connection, free of urgency, simply bond. As I finally stepped back to fold a towel, my hands remained steady, yet something within me had shifted, not due to the kiss itself, but because of all the emotions it encompassed. As the sun dipped below the horizon, we glided through the familiar halls of the house, just as we had countless times before. He lent a hand with the dishes, I took charge of the laundry, we shared laughter over a classic film, yet there was an unfamiliar warmth in the atmosphere, a gentle connection that spoke volumes. Not everything needed a name. Some things could just exist. Experienced. The following morning, I stumbled upon him once more in the kitchen, his feet bare and his eyes still heavy with sleep as he prepared a pot of coffee. His hair was a wild tangle, and the sunlight streaming through the window cast an ethereal glow, as if he were suspended in a moment where dreams and reality intertwined. He cast a glance my way, a smile dancing on his lips, and in that moment, I understood that fear had no place in what we had transformed into. I found myself trembling at the thought of having journeyed through life, yet never truly being seen in all my depth. With a gentle voice, he greeted the morning. I took a step beside him. In the gentle embrace of dawn, a warm greeting filled the air. Good morning. As he passed me the mug, our hands lightly touched, a gentle connection, devoid of any spark or tension, just a comforting warmth lingering in the air. That weekend, we let the events in the studio linger in silence, avoiding any labels or discussions. Yet, when he brushed by me in the hallway and gently rested his hand on my back, I instinctively leaned into the warmth of his touch. Not everything needed to weave a complex tapestry. At times, love whispers rather than shouts. It unfolds gently, woven through the fabric of daily moments, in the quiet companionship of shared silences, in the steadfast presence of another, in the way he remained, and in the way I welcomed him to stay. One evening, I found myself in the studio, the air rich with the lingering scent of lavender. The melody lingered softly, while the atmosphere remained untouched. Perched on the edge of the table, my palms gently resting on my thighs, I let my eyes drift shut. As I reflected on the countless years dedicated to reaching out to others with compassion, restoring their sense of humanity, I realized that it was not a client or a stranger who returned that precious gift to me in the end. It was a figure who had been part of my journey from the very beginning, a silent observer of my generosity who ultimately decided to return the kindness I had shared. As Adam made his entrance into the room moments later, silence enveloped us. He moved with a quiet grace, stepping behind me to place his hands softly on my shoulders, his forehead finding a resting place against the back of my head. In that moment, we existed as mother and son, as woman and man, two souls who had navigated the tempests of life and discovered solace in one another. In that serene, hallowed moment, we shared a connection that transcended words, a bond that required no explanation, for we understood each other completely, and that alone sufficed.